Hi, welcome into my studio, and on this video I'm going to be drawing this very unusual animal, and I'm going to be doing it in watercolor pencils. And the reason I'm selecting watercolor pencils is because now it's British summertime, and sometimes you want to take your art materials outdoors and actually go on holidays with them as well. And if you're going abroad, you're going on an aeroplane, sometimes taking oil paints or any paints, because they're liquids, they can always cause a few issues and problems. So it's nice and easy to be able to take pencils. Now of course I could have taken my pastel pencils. They can be a little bit dusty, easier to smudge. So I thought I'd try out some watercolor pencils. Fortunately Derwent had sent me a set of 36 out, so I thought I'd give those a go. Now of course with just 36 pencils I'm going to be a bit limited, trying to recreate a very realistic image. I'm going to have to make adjustments and actually just go with the colours that I've got, so I'll make sure I try and get the lights and the darks correct, the tones, because that's the most important part. But at least it's going to give you an idea of how we can use these pencils on pastelmat paper. And the reason I'm selecting pastelmat is so that I can get extra layers on top, so I can still do a very similar technique to the one we would do with pastels. Okay, so let's get started. I've got my pastelmat grey paper, I've got my image transferred to it as per normal, and what you're seeing on screen is a Derwent water brush. It's got this soft brushy end to it. You fill the back end up with water, and that means when I'm using these watercolor pencils, these Derwent watercolors, I can, just a little tissue I'm going to have as well there, as you see me use, and a pot of water. That's all the supplies. But it's going to mean with that watercolor brush I haven't got to keep dipping into a pot, but you can use a normal brush and just a pot of water to actually make these watercolor pencils turn wet. So it's just like using watercolor, and you can make that go as free and easy, loose as you want, or you can use them quite tight and detailed. So I've just grabbed my reference photo. I'm going to put that by the side just so you can see what I'm working on. But obviously, as per normal with my videos, I'm really showing you the technique so you can actually go out there and try something different yourself. I will be supplying the reference photo and line art on my Patreon channel for this. It's an image I photographed myself a little while back, so if you want to draw along for practice purposes, that's perfectly fine. So if this is a brand new medium to you, as it is to me, the best thing to do is to actually try things out on a bit of scrap paper, so there's no major surprises, and I've already done that, so I've got an idea of how these watercolor pencils are going to work. And one thing to keep in mind, as I'm just starting to block areas in, you can see I'm using a blue pencil here, is that the darker colors, when they are wet, when you go over them with a wet brush, they go much more contrasty, much darker. When wet they will dry slightly lighter, but they'll still be darker than the pencil you're putting on there. Now when you use lighter colors, so perhaps those more ochre colors, they will not go as dark when the brush goes on there. So you've got to keep that in mind, that dark black in particular, dark blues are very powerful colors with watercolor pencils, so you don't have to put too much down at all. But you know, watch this video all the way through first and you'll see exactly what I mean about what happens when it's dark and you wet it, and the lighter colors too. So I'm not pushing too hard with this black pencil. You need to get a bit of coverage on there. But because we're using pastelmat paper, it's got that slight texture to the surface, and it means that we can get light over dark with them, especially when we use this watercolor technique that I'm going to show you, where I'm just blocking in some of the basic colors. As I said, I haven't got the full set of 72, so I'm going to have to just do the best I can with a lot of these colors. But I want to show you the technique. I think a lot of you are going to like this technique, and it's very different to using a normal coloured pencil is different to using pastel pencil as well. So perhaps it's going to suit different artists too. Something nice to try out. Now, start to finish, this drawing took me about 2 hours to complete. So you can see it can be quite fast as well. It's not a slow medium. Obviously you can go and detail it as much as you want, and if you've got all those pencil colours, perhaps some of you have already got them already, perhaps you've had them a couple of years and you've not known how to use them, or you've not tried them out, so now's your opportunity. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with that Derwent water brush. I filled the back up. You fill the back up by unscrewing it from the black end on there, and then get a little bowl of water and then squeeze the plastic with the end down in the water, and it'll just suck it up rather than try to fill it with a tap. So you can see it going in the direction. When I'm leaving the screen, what I'm actually doing is one of two things. Either I'm just dapping the end off it if there's a little bit too much water, or swishing it in the water container by the side to clean the end. That's what I'm generally doing, because when it picks up black pigment, it's just like doing watercolor, so that black is on the end of the brush. So if I'm then going into the brown area, I'm going to actually contaminate the brown. You can see I'm going in the third direction. You can see how much darker it's going. There's my kitchen tissue. Let me just show you what I'm doing. See, I cleaned the brush. Now there's a couple of ways to work with these water brushes. You can squeeze them every now and again. That'll push more water into the end. You can just dip it in a bowl, so using it just as per a normal brush, though they do seem to then stay wetter longer. You can see I've cleaned off that dirty water, going into the dark now. You can see how it stays on the brush, the dark. So you clean it quite often. Don't have to rush too much with this, because if it dries, as I said, you can just go back in with a watercolor brush, it'll re-liquefy. You can see it's filling up all the tooth of the paper. That's what we like to do with pastels as well, with the undercoat, the underlayer. Fill up the tooth so we can build the texture on top of it. And it's not got that scratchy appearance. As you can see, look below on the neck area. You can see lots of the paper under there, because we can't blend this medium out when it's dry. It's not going to blend like pastel at all, so we've got to do it this way. Everything is now dry, and I dried it all off with a hairdryer, because as I said, pastelmat will hold a lot of water, so it'll take a long time to dry. So you either want to allow it to dry overnight, or just dry it with a hairdryer, as I did. And now I'm going to start to build up on this underlayer with my details, and you see how I'm doing them, going to do them very similar to the way I would with pastels. I haven't got a very dark brown in this set. This brown looks quite dark but goes on fairly light, so I'm going to have to use this brown for the richness, and I'm going to have to use a black pencil as well to just try and get it darker, to get those tones correct. So darks going on first, lights will come on later. Critical part, go in that third direction, as I say on absolutely all of my videos. So I'm going to a lighter pencil. I haven't got, if you look on the cheek of the animal, you can see it's kind of like a pale ochre with a tinge of pink in there. I haven't got that colour, so I'm definitely going to have to make do with what I've got on that section. I want to stick with the watercolor pencils. I don't want to go over to coloured pencils on my sets. I don't want to go to a different brand. I just want to keep using this one set, just so everything is nice and simple and we can see exactly how this particular pencil performs. So getting in the dark areas first before I get the lights in, because I've already done a test. I know the highlights will go on top of the darks to some extent, and they actually go on quite well. It surprised me, and I put that down mainly, I think, to the fact that we're using the pastelmat paper, and also these watercolor pencils are quite soft. Okay, so it's just a case now of working on the rest of the animal exactly the same fashion, building up layers one on top of the other. You can see I've switched over then to a creamy pencil. Now as you go lighter with the pencils, I found that they're going softer as well, which kind of makes sense. So I just put in those final details. I put just some dry pencil over the background just to make it a bit more even. Now I'm just coming in. Final thing to do, as per usual, is put on the whiskers. Nothing complicated at all going on here. They are quite subtle. And as I draw this to an end, literally, I hope you've enjoyed it. I wanted to show a different medium. I know lots of you like pencils in different ways, different formats. I think lots of you probably haven't used watercolor pencils, so it'd be nice to see where you actually create if you have a go at this. I'm sure I'll be using them again, probably more for smaller studies, definitely for taking on holidays. They really are ideally suited to travel and working outdoors. So once again, hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all again real soon for the next one. If you're looking for even more great art sources, I've really got you covered. First off, I've got a Patreon channel. It's been going well over a year or so, packed with around about 50 or more videos and new ones every month. Lots of the videos are many hours long, so you can see they're really in-depth. Subjects such as turtles, birds, elephants, big cats, you name it, is on there. So that's my Patreon channel. And also on that Patreon channel, before I go on to something else, I've got a secret Facebook group, so only the members are actually on there. It's the most supportive and friendly Facebook group that I've ever seen. I know I'm biased, but it really is. We've got 400 or 500 members on there, and they all help each other, so that's a great added bonus that comes free with it. Also, you get line art every month as well, and we've just designed a brand new companion website for it. So if you've joined other Patreons and channels and you found it very difficult to navigate around, we got this free website that comes with it. All the videos are now just a single click away. Couldn't be any easier than it is. I've also got my site, jasonmorgan.co.uk, lots of tutorial videos, DVD discs and downloads on there. And if you're struggling for reference photos for your art projects, I've got some of those too. I've got 900 plus on my website, wildlifeart-online.com, and they will be copyright free for you, so you can paint and draw from them and sell your work with no copyright worries whatsoever. So hope you like those extra resources, and I'll see you all again real soon.